Today, we're talking about work-life balance for millennials, especially if you are a creative working a full-time creative job. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about making sure that you clock out on time, making sure that you stop checking your emails after a certain time, because that is not the real problem. The real problem is that most people generally think that work-life balance is about the number of hours that you put into work and maybe about flexible work arrangements where you work. That's all fine and dandy. But what it really boils down to, especially for a creative and if you're a millennial, is work-life alignment. And I think that there are three non-negotiables that creatives need in order to make sure that they get alignment and stay in alignment. If you miss out on even one of these, I am pretty sure that you're going to be starting to drift towards burnout. And I know this because this happened to me as well. Burnout happened slowly, painfully, and definitely. I don't want this to happen to you, so let's cut to it. Hey everyone, it's the Sarah Girl, and I asked ChatGPT, who else would I ask, right, about the definition of work-life balance, and here's what it had to say. Work-life balance is the ability to manage the demands of your job and personal life, and about setting boundaries around time and availability so that you can meet those professional responsibilities and still have energy for rest, relationships, and personal interests. I am all for this, but I think work-life balance goes beyond separating work from life. To me, it's about whether your work's meaning fits and connects with the larger aspects of your life and how you live your life. Now, freelancers may have a little bit more time and space to focus and hone in on their skills, but if you're a full-time creative, it is inescapable that you're going to be pushed to do things outside of your usual skill set. Very outside of your usual skill set. So here's how you're going to be able to keep that balance alive and well and stay away from burnout. First things first, create your own clear vision of why the task that you have been given matters. Now, creatives tend to be the ones at the table who are always asking questions. And you're not asking questions to be a difficult team member. Quite the opposite, actually. You're asking questions to be a better team member. Creatives are naturally way more curious. And why? It's because they need to form a story in their head on why it is that this task, this project, whatever it is that you're working on, matters. And if you're anything like me, I need to know how it is that this thing value adds or improves anyone else or anyone else's lives. We're not talking about world peace for every project that we do. What I'm talking about is the internal peace and the internal alignment that allows me to understand what it is that I'm doing and how it's going to benefit someone else. That story needs to come from you. Of course, you can ask, for example, your boss and say, can you please tell me why it is that this project matters? And they're going to tell you. But the thing is that it's not going to stick. I've tried it. No, it's not going to stick. You need to do the work and you need to form your own narrative of why it is that that project particularly matters. Your need to align your vision of work and life is important because it actually brings a project or a task and elevates it a little bit more because you're adding your own flavor to it. So never fall into that trap of being a yes man and staying quiet at the table because that is not where your value lies. If we want examples about projects and tasks, when I was working full-time as a creative, one of the things I harbored the most resentment and resistance to was in terms of writing. And that's really weird because I love creative writing. You know, it brings me so much joy. But writing in any formal capacity is the first way to make me turn and walk the other way really, really quickly. So I harbored a lot of resentment and resistance towards writing this, and later I realized that this is why, because I never really aligned myself with that task or with that project. I didn't understand why there was a need for me to write this email that is so long and so detailed and so boring and so uninspired, basically. I never got it. But when I formed a narrative around it, okay, this is how it's going to work with this particular project. I imagine that these 5,000 word and above emails were magic spells. It made me really, really happy. I'm a fan of Disney and all things magical. So I imagined that they were magic spells. And what happens with spells? You need to be very, very detailed. You need to get to the point. And you need to be boring and crystal clear. And that's where it's different from creative writing, right? Spells come out as fun and inspired because they're sung, right? I imagine myself as a witch when I'm writing it. You don't need to do that. You can be Harry Potter. I don't know, Hermione. Take your pick. But that was one way I was able to align what it is that I had to do. I need to know why it is that this project needs to be so boring. And I understood it because accountability, detail orientation is important because you need specifics. So spells are very much the same. You're talking about ingredients, you're talking about being very particular about different things. And it just made a lot more sense to me. So once I got through to that, writing those emails was so much easier. Maybe I'd try to add a little bit of inspiration to it, a little bit here and there, but it made life so much better because I had a very clear vision of why it is that mattered. So here's the thing, you are the creative. You don't need to look at anyone else to hand feed you the creativity to make sense of that particular project or task. Non-negotiable number 2. Avoid ever falling into the trap of saying that I will just do this because, well, that's the job. There will be times where we have to do projects and tasks that are fundamentally against everything that we stand for. It happens. It makes our skin crawl and you feel massively uncomfortable about having to do this. And this is when it's very, very easy to fall back on the premise and say, it is just a job, guys. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to bite the bullet right now so that I can just move on. There's no moving on from something as big as this. It is going to affect you deeply, so you really need to reframe things in your mind. Now, for example, in my personal capacity, I advocate for adoption of pets versus the buying of pets, and I volunteer pretty actively at an animal shelter. In this line of work, we are very often approached by pet businesses, animal breeders that want to reach out and help. Basically those surrounding their industry. And that's when they approach shelters and say, hey, can a portion of my sales go towards helping you and helping the animals at the shelter and everything of the sort? Fundamentally, this screams no. Number one, the portion that goes to animal shelters is, of course, a small amount. But all that aside, all I'm thinking about at that time is, okay, charities need money to function. And we should just take donations as donations. Kindness is kindness. It doesn't matter, right? There is only so far that I can take myself with that particular narrative. I need to really reframe, or at least I have had to reframe many, many times, how it is that I can live with myself with doing this. So here's a 3-step reframe method that helps me sometimes when I have to do a task or a project that really, really clashes with my values. Step 1 is to identify a point of resonance, one point of resonance. So one element, for example, in a project brief that you get that you genuinely can connect with, whether it is the functionality of the product that they're selling, whether it is the messages behind this project, or maybe it is about the people that this project or this task will affect. So even if it's just 20% of the project that you can identify and can bring yourself to resonate with, that's really going to anchor you and something for you to focus on positively, I guess, rather than all that and just harboring all this resentment. That 20% is really going to hold you down and allow you to move forward without biting the bullet so much and hurting yourself at the same time. For example, with me, I would look at a project or a proposal that we get from pet business and look at it and see if I feel or that we feel that it truly benefits an audience that we care about. And an audience that we generally baseline very, openly care about are pet owners. It doesn't matter where the pet is from. Yes, we advocate for adoption over buying, but a life is a life and we care for pet owners. So if that product that they are trying to push genuinely helps the end user, yes, why not participate in it? In this case, I anchor on the functional benefit that working on this project with a pet business will bring to an audience that I care about, which is pet owners. Now, the second thing to do is to inject your own signature into that project. So maybe a little bit of your own flavor, make it part of that project. In my case, what happens is that once we get a brief, there will more often than not be a part of it that's about copywriting and a little bit about visuals and like posters and stuff like that. So for example, if there is a poster, I'm going to make sure that the visuals correctly depict the animals that you would adopt here in the land, in this case in Singapore. Are they the common stray animals, the common dogs, the common cats that you would get on the streets? Not the purebreds, because if this project is going to be about helping the common animals, that's what it needs to depict. Also, if there's copy, we always tend to try to make sure that the wording is not so much about buy this, so that, you know, there is an adopt, don't shop element to it. We make sure that the way that things are phrased in the copy, you know, just inject your own style into it, make it softer if it's necessary. Odds are that people are going to listen to you and, you know, banter a little bit with you on your comments and your ideas on how to make their copy and visuals a little bit better, but, you know, you have to do what it is that you have to do. So reframe that and inject your own signature and push forward for it. Step 3, and this is my favorite, is to redefine success on your terms. In my case, the success, I guess, story would be that the pet business gets X amount of sales and then we get X amount of donations, and all of those numbers are really high, right? I've taken a step back and said that the micro wins are the ones for me. I measure the success of a project of working with a, for example, pet business in ways that are not so money-based. Yes, the money matters a lot. And the donations make everything work. But here's the thing, if I'm going to be getting more messages about adoption, that is the win already, you know? If I'm going to be getting more messages about interest in volunteering, that's as well a win. If we're going to be approached from that project by more direct donors that say, hey, we want to help and we saw your cause on this particular project or this campaign that you worked on with this pet business, how can we help you directly? We don't want to go through another party, and, you know, it's all about awareness. So if the micro win for you, it really helps to propel you and to make sure that things, although are not on the surface perfect for you, don't align with your values perfectly, there is a way around it. There definitely is a way around it without having to lie to yourself, and you will still be abiding by your principles. And that's when it really matters. Makes it fun, actually. So these small victories stack up over time. So let those victories be the things that stack up and accumulate, not resentment and not resistance to the work that you're trying to do. Non-negotiable 3. Always, always, always have your own personal projects ongoing. Now, these personal projects are not hobbies. They're way more than hobbies. They are the vital life source. They're going to help you keep your identity aligned, keep your sense of freedom alive as well. So it boils down to this, okay, guys? Creatives need to create. I don't care how little time you have after work, after family, after everything that you have. It is a huge must to-do list. I get it, but you must, for the life of you, do something creatively, and that something has to be ongoing all the time. You need to make. You need to always be creatively doing something that you feel like you don't need to seek validation from anyone else and seek permission from anyone else. You get to be your own boss. You don't need to report to your boss, you don't need, report to your wife, report to your husband. Something that is purely, fully and truly you. Why would you avoid doing this? I say this with all the kindness and love in my heart, because that's what I'm asking myself all the time. I had all the time in the world to be doing this, exactly this YouTube channel. This is everything that I should have been doing 10 years ago. Regrets? I've had a few, yes, but don't be like me, all right? If there's something that you've always wanted to do, whether it's put in your mind on the side, or it has to be a creative journey that you're going on by yourself. And having this channel and having Hi Honey as well on Spotify, it really would have saved me from burnout. I genuinely feel if I had started it 10 years ago. So don't wait till something bad happens for you to then regret like me. And if you haven't caught this, I actually wholeheartedly believe that every single person is a creative. I don't think you need to be artistic to be creative. I just think you need to be alive and thriving and hoping for a better way of living. So I guess the real question here is, do you have work-life balance? Or maybe I should say, do you have work-life alignment? Thank you so much for watching, honey. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will see you again very soon. Take care, honey. Till next time.